Elder Kira walked through the crystal gardens of Valoran Prime, her long silver robes flowing behind her like water. The morning light filtered through the transparent domes that covered their city, casting rainbow patterns on the white stone paths. Everything on Valoran Prime was designed for peace and beauty. Sharp edges did not exist here. Violence was a word their children learned only from history books. The Valorians had not fought a war in over 3,000 years. They had evolved beyond such primitive needs. Their society focused on art, healing, and understanding the universe. Their cities floated above crystal-clear lakes. Their buildings grew from living trees, shaped by gentle technology. Even their tools were soft and curved, incapable of causing harm. Kira paused beside a fountain, where healing waters sang in harmony. She was old, even by Valoran standards, having lived for 800 years. In all that time, she had never seen violence except in the ancient records. The idea of one being deliberately hurting another was as foreign to her as breathing underwater. A soft chime echoed through the garden. Scholar Day approached, her young face troubled. At only 50 years old, Day was considered barely an adult by Valoran standards. She studied other species across the galaxy, a job that often brought disturbing news. Elder Kira, Day said, her voice gentle as always. I have received troubling reports from the outer systems. Kira turned to face the young scholar. What troubles you, child? Day activated a small device that projected images in the air between them. The images showed destruction, burned worlds, enslaved populations, ships designed only for war. The Scarian Empire grows stronger, Day explained. They have conquered 12 systems in the past year. They take everything of value and leave nothing but ash behind. Kira studied the images with growing sadness. The Valorians knew of the Scarians, of course. They knew of many violent species, but such things had always seemed impossibly distant from their peaceful world. Why do you bring this to me? Kira asked softly. Day hesitated. Because they know about us now. Our trade ships have been spotted. They know we possess the healing technology. They know about our energy systems. They know about our terraforming abilities. The weight of those words settled over them like a dark cloud. The Valorians had developed technology that could heal any wound, cure any disease. Their energy systems could power entire star systems without pollution. Their terraforming could turn dead rocks into garden worlds. Such technology in the wrong. Hands could reshape the galaxy. What do the other elders say? Kira asked. They believe our peaceful nature will protect us, Day replied. They think no one would dare attack a civilization that has never harmed anyone. Kira closed her eyes. She had lived long enough to know that peace was not always its own protection. And what do you think? I think they are wrong, Day said quietly. I have studied the galaxy's violent species for decades. They do not respect peace. They see it as weakness. The Scarians especially. They believe might makes right. To them, our refusal to fight makes us perfect victims. The two Valorians stood in silence for a long moment. Around them, the crystal gardens hummed with life and beauty. Children played in pools of healing water. Artists shaped light into sculptures. Scientists worked to unlock new secrets of creation. All of it could be destroyed if the wrong forces arrived. There is something else, Day continued. I intercepted a communication 3 days ago. A small human vessel was attacked by pirates near the Zeta Nebula. the humans fought back. They saved a Valoran transport ship that was caught in the crossfire. Kira raised an eyebrow. Humans? I know little of them. Most dismiss them as primitives, Day said. They are young compared to us. They have only been in space for a few hundred years. But Elder Kira, what I saw in that battle recording troubled me deeply. In what way? Day projected new images. These showed a battered human ship engaging multiple pirate vessels. The human ship was clearly outgunned, but it maneuvered with deadly precision. It placed itself between the pirates and the Valoran transport, taking heavy damage to protect strangers. The human captain could have escaped, Day explained. His ship was fast enough. Instead, he chose to fight impossible odds to protect people he had never met. His crew followed him without question. They damaged their own ship and risked their lives for us. Kira watched the recording with fascination. She had never seen such behavior. The human ship moved like a predator, but fought like a guardian. I studied their communication signals during the battle, Day continued. Do you know what the human captain said when his crew asked why they should risk their lives for strangers? What did he say? He said, because someone has to. That was all. No grand speech, no noble cause, just because someone has to. Kira felt something stir in her ancient heart, a feeling she could not name. Tell me more about these humans, she said. Day's eyes lit up. This was clearly something she had researched extensively. They are paradoxes, Elder Kira. They can be incredibly violent, but only when fighting for others. They have fought wars, yes, but mostly to protect the weak or defend their homes. They are the only species I have found that becomes more dangerous when protecting others than when protecting themselves. How is that possible? I do not know, Day admitted, but I have seen the records. When humans fight for conquest, they can be beaten. When they fight for territory or resources, they can be reasoned with. But when they fight to protect innocent lives, they become something else entirely. They become unstoppable. Kira turned back to the fountain, its healing waters sparkling in the light. For the first time in her long life, she wondered if beauty and peace were enough. What are you suggesting? She asked quietly. I am suggesting that maybe the galaxy's most peaceful civilization needs the galaxy's most protective species as guardians, Day replied. The Scarians and others see our peace as weakness. But what if we showed them that our peace is protected by those who understand the true cost of violence? Kira looked at the young scholar with new respect. You would have us hire warriors? We who have known only peace? I would have us hire guardians, Day corrected. There is a difference. Warriors fight for victory. Guardians fight for others. And Elder Kira, when guardians fight, they do not lose. The fountain sang its ancient song of healing while two Valorians contemplated the unthinkable, that sometimes peace must be protected by those willing to fight for it. Warlord Vexus stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Iron Fang, watching the holographic display with hungry eyes. The massive Scarian warship cut through space like a blade, its dark hull bristling with weapons. Around it, a fleet of smaller vessels maintained perfect formation. This was the Scarian way. Order through strength, peace through conquest. Vexus himself was a perfect example of Scarian evolution. Standing nearly 3 meters tall, his thick gray skin was covered in ritual, scars that told the story of his victories. His 4 arms ended in clawed hands, each capable of crushing bone. His eyes glowed red in the dim light of the bridge. To the Scarians, beauty was found only in power. Show me the intelligence report again, Vexus commanded. his voice like grinding stone. A smaller Scarian officer activated the display. Images of Valoran Prime appeared in the air. Peaceful cities, gentle technology, beings who moved without fear or aggression. Pathetic, Vexus growled. They build no weapons. They train no warriors. They do not even have proper defenses around their world. Yes, Warlord, the officer replied. Our scouts confirm they have not fought a war in thousands of years. They have forgotten how to defend themselves. Vexus studied the reports with growing excitement. The Valorians possessed technology that could make the Scarian Empire unstoppable. Medical devices that could heal any wound would make Scarian warriors nearly immortal. Energy systems that powerful could fuel weapons beyond imagination. Terraforming. Technology could turn entire dead systems into military bases. And they just give this technology away? Vexus asked. Yes, Warlord. They trade healing devices for simple art and music. They share their energy technology freely with anyone who asks nicely. They seem to believe all beings are naturally good. Vexus laughed, a sound like metal tearing. Then they are fools. In this galaxy, the strong take what they want from the weak. It is the natural order. The bridge doors opened, and another Scarian entered. This one was smaller and moved with the quick, nervous energy of a spy. His name was Krex, and he led the Empire's intelligence operations. Warlord, Krex said, bowing low, I bring news from our agents throughout the galaxy. Speak. Word of Valoran technology is spreading. The Hegemony Council is planning diplomatic contact. The Trade Federation wants to negotiate exclusive deals. Even some of the smaller pirate clans are taking interest. Vexus turned from the display, his red eyes burning. How long before someone else moves? Perhaps 6 months, Warlord. Maybe less if the pirates grow bold. 6 months. Vexus calculated quickly. It would take 2 months to fully prepare his fleet, another month to reach Valoran space. That left 3 months to conquer the world and secure the technology before rivals arrived. What of their defenses? Vexus asked. Krex consulted his datapad. They have no military, no weapons platforms, no defense fleets. Their cities are not even fortified. They rely entirely on the belief that no one would attack a peaceful civilization. Fools, Vexus repeated. What of allies? Surely someone protects them. None, Warlord. They trade with many species, but have no military alliances. They seem to believe that being helpful and kind is enough protection. Vexus began to pace, his clawed feet clicking on the metal deck. This was almost too perfect. A completely defenseless world filled with the most valuable technology in the galaxy. It was like finding a treasure vault with no guards and no locks. Begin preparations immediately, Vexus ordered. I want our full battle fleet ready within 8 weeks. No delays. No mistakes. Yes, Warlord, Krex replied. Should we attempt diplomatic contact first? Perhaps they would surrender without a fight? Vexus considered this. No. Diplomacy takes time, and time gives our rivals opportunities. Besides, once we control their world, we control their technology. We can study it, improve it, and weaponize it properly. Under Scarian rule, their healing devices will serve only our warriors. Their energy systems will power only our ships. Their terraforming will create only our worlds. The warlord moved to the large window that dominated one wall of the bridge. Outside, stars streaked past as the ship traveled through hyperspace. Each point of light represented potential conquest, potential expansion of Scarian power. There is one more thing, Warlord, Krex said carefully. Yes, Our scouts report that human ships have been seen in Valoran space. Not many, just a few traders and explorers. But humans have an unusual reputation. Vexus snorted. Humans? Those primitives barely know how to build proper starships. What threat could they pose? Perhaps none, Warlord. But intelligence suggests they can be unpredictable when civilians are threatened. They have a strange habit of fighting beyond rational limits when protecting others. Let them come, Vexus said dismissively. A few human ships against the might of the Scarian fleet. They will flee like cowards or die like heroes. Either way, they will not stop us. Krex bowed again. As you command, Warlord. As the spy left. The bridge, Vexus, returned to studying the intelligence reports. The Valorians were everything the Scarians were not. Gentle, trusting, focused on creation rather than destruction. It made them perfect victims. In Scarian philosophy, the universe was a constant struggle between the strong and the weak. The strong had a duty to dominate the weak, to take their resources and use them more effectively. The weak had a duty to submit or be destroyed. This was not cruelty. This was nature. The Valorians, with their naive belief in universal goodness, had clearly forgotten this fundamental truth. Vexus would remind them. Their peaceful world would become a Scarian fortress. Their healing technology would serve only those worthy of power. Their energy systems would fuel the expansion of the Empire across the galaxy. Navigation, Vexus called. Yes, Warlord? Set course for the outer Valoran system. We begin reconnaissance immediately. I want to know everything about their world before we strike. Understood, Warlord. As the Iron Fang changed course, Vexus allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. Soon, the galaxy would see what happened to civilizations foolish enough to believe. In peace, without strength. The Valorians would learn that their gentle philosophy was no match for Scarian steel. And if any humans were foolish enough to stand in their way, they would learn the same lesson. The strong ruled. The weak served. This was the way of the universe, and Vexus would make sure the Valorians understood it perfectly. Captain Juan checked his weapon for the third time as his small ship approached the massive Valoran space station. The structure looked more like a work of art than a functional facility. Flowing curves and transparent sections allowed the light of the nearby star to create beautiful patterns throughout the interior. No defensive positions, no weapon emplacements, no shields that he could detect. Still think this is a trap? Asked his pilot Jin from the cockpit. Everything about this feels wrong, Juan replied. Nobody builds a station this big without defenses. Nobody sends unarmed transports through pirate space. And nobody offers payment this good for simple. Guard duty? Jin laughed. Maybe they're just rich and stupid. Rich, maybe. Stupid? Juan shook his head. I've seen their technology reports. These people are anything but stupid. The communication system crackled to life. A gentle voice spoke, in perfect human standard. Human vessel, this is Valoran Station Harmony. You are cleared for Docking Bay 7. Welcome. As their ship entered the docking bay, Juan marveled at the construction. The walls seemed to be grown rather than built, with smooth organic curves that flowed like water. Soft lights provided illumination without harsh shadows. Even the docking clamps were padded to avoid damaging visiting ships. A small group of Valorians waited for them as they disembarked. Juan had seen images before, but meeting them in person was different. They moved with fluid grace, their large eyes reflecting curiosity rather than fear. Their clothing was simple but elegant, clearly designed for comfort rather than protection. The leader stepped forward and bowed slightly. "Captain Juan, I am Scholar Day. Thank you for accepting our invitation." Juan found himself unconsciously checking for weapons, then stopped. These beings clearly had none. The very idea seemed foreign to them. "You're the one who contacted us?" Juan asked. "Yes, please follow me. Elder Kira is waiting to speak with you." As they walked through the station corridors, Juan noted everything with a soldier's eye. The passages were wide and open with no defensive choke points. The windows were large and unarmored. The doors had no locks he could see. This place would be impossible to defend. "Your message mentioned a job," Juan said, "but it wasn't very specific." Day glanced at him with those large, expressive eyes. "That is because what we wish to discuss has never been attempted before. We need guards, Captain Juan, protectors, and we believe humans might be uniquely suited for the task." They entered a large chamber filled with soft furniture and hanging gardens. An elderly Valoran rose to greet them. Despite her obvious age, she moved with dignity and purpose. "Captain Juan," she said warmly, "I am Elder Kira. Thank you for coming so far to hear our proposal." Juan nodded respectfully. "Elder, your Scholar Day mentioned protection services. What exactly do you need protected?" Kira gestured for them to sit. The furniture adjusted automatically to accommodate human physiology. Another display of advanced technology. "Tell me, Captain," Kira began, "what do you know of Valoran civilization?" "You're pacifists," Juan replied. "Haven't fought a war in thousands of years. You focus on science, art, healing. You trade technology for cultural items. Very advanced, very peaceful." "And what do you know of the Scarian Empire?" Juan's expression hardened. "Militaristic, expansionist. They conquer worlds for resources and slave labor. Their idea of diplomacy is surrender or destruction." "Yes," Kira said sadly, "and we have learned that they know of our existence. They know of our technology. They are coming." The implications hit Juan immediately. "You want to hire us to fight them off." "We want to hire you to protect us," Day corrected. "There is a difference." Juan looked between the two Valorians. "With respect, you have no idea what you're asking. The Scarians don't send small raiding parties. They send fleets, entire armadas designed to crush resistance. You would need a full military to stop them." "We cannot fight," Kira said simply. "It is not in our nature. We have evolved beyond violence. Even the concept causes us distress. But we have seen recordings of humans in combat. You fight differently than other species." "How so?" Day activated a display that showed various battle recordings. "Most species fight for territory, resources, or dominance. Humans fight for these things too, but not with the same intensity. However, when humans fight to protect others, especially innocents, you become something else entirely." She showed him the recording of Jin's ship defending the Valoran transport. Juan watched his pilot's reckless courage with professional interest. "Why did you do that?" Kira asked Jin directly. Jin shrugged. "They needed help. We were there. Seemed like the right thing to do." "Just like that?" Day pressed. "You risked your lives for strangers without hesitation?" "It wasn't really a choice," Jin explained. "I mean, we could have run, but then people would have died. Couldn't let that happen." Kira and Day exchanged meaningful looks. "This is what we mean," Kira said. "Humans possess something unique. the ability to become more dangerous when protecting others than when protecting yourselves. Juan considered this. What exactly are you proposing? A partnership, Kira replied. We provide you with access to our medical technology, our energy systems, our terraforming capabilities. In exchange, you provide us with protection from those who would misuse these gifts. You're talking about a permanent arrangement? Yes. Humans would be our guardians, not our rulers, not our conquerors, but our protectors. You would have the authority to defend Valoran space and Valoran interests throughout the galaxy. Juan was quiet for a long moment. The offer was staggering. Valoran medical technology could revolutionize human space. Their energy systems could power humanity's expansion for centuries. Their terraforming could create new worlds for human colonization. Why us? He asked finally. Why not hire one of the established mercenary companies? Why not approach the Galactic Council for protection? Day answered. Because mercenaries fight for money. When the money runs out, so does their loyalty. The Galactic Council fights for politics and territory. Neither would truly protect us. They would protect their investment in us. And humans? Humans fight for people, Kira said simply. We have studied your species extensively. When you commit to protecting someone, you do not give up. You do not calculate odds. You do not count costs. You simply fight until the threat is gone or you are. Juan looked around the chamber, taking in the peaceful beauty of Valoran design. These people had created something remarkable. A civilization based entirely on creation rather than destruction. The idea of the Scarians tearing it apart filled him with an unexpected anger. You understand what this means? He asked. If we accept, humans will be seen as your military arm. Other species will blame us for any conflicts that arise. Yes, Kira acknowledged, and we will be seen as your charges, dependent on human protection. Both our species will be changed by this alliance. The Scarians won't give up easily, Juan warned. Even if we stop their first attack, they'll keep coming, and they'll bring bigger fleets each time. Then we will face each challenge as it comes, Day said. Together. Juan made his decision. I'll need to contact my superiors. This is way above my authority level. But Elder Kira, if humanity accepts this partnership, we won't let you down. Kira smiled, and for the first time since he'd arrived, Juan saw hope in those large, gentle eyes. I believe you, Captain. After all, you are human, and humans, we have learned, do not abandon those they have chosen to protect. General Sunwoo stood on the observation deck of the human command ship Defender, watching Valoran Prime rotate slowly below. 3 months had passed since the alliance was signed, and the culture shock still surprised him daily. The planet below showed no signs of military preparation, no orbital defense platforms, no weapon installations. Even now, with a Scarian invasion imminent, the Valorians continued their peaceful lives as if nothing had changed. It's beautiful, said his aide, Lieutenant Yerin, as she joined him at the viewport. It's defenseless, Sunwoo replied. Look at those cities. Wide open spaces, glass buildings, no fortifications. A single bomber could devastate an entire population center. That's why we're here, sir. Sunwoo nodded, but his expression remained troubled. In 30 years of military service, he had never faced a challenge like this. How do you defend people who refuse to participate in their own defense? How do you protect a civilization that sees weapons as inherently evil? The communication system chimed. General Sunwoo, this is Commander Wu Jin on Station Harmony. The Valoran Council is ready for the briefing. Acknowledged. We'll be right down. The transport shuttle carried them to the massive Valoran space station. Even after 3 months, Sunwoo marveled at its construction. No human engineer would design something so beautiful and so vulnerable. The station was a work of art that happened to function as a space facility. Elder Kira waited for them in the main conference chamber, along with Scholar Day and several other Valoran leaders. Also present were key human personnel, Commander Wu Jin, Engineer Minho, and Captain Huan, who had become something of a liaison between the two species. General Sunwoo, Kira said warmly. How do the preparations proceed? Sunwoo activated his tactical display. We've positioned 3 defense platforms at the edge of your system. They're disguised as research stations, as you requested. Our fleet of 12 ships is stationed behind your outer moon. We've also installed defensive systems on this station, though they're carefully hidden. Dr. Bach, the Valoran medical researcher, looked uncomfortable. These weapons, they are truly necessary? Dr. Bach, Sunwoo said patiently. The Scarians are bringing a battle fleet. Without weapons, we cannot protect you. But our entire philosophy is based on non-violence, protested Philosopher Taman, an elderly Valoran who had opposed the human alliance from the beginning. By allowing weapons in our space, are we not becoming the very thing we reject? Engineer Minho, a human technical specialist, leaned forward. With respect, Philosopher Taman, we're not asking you to use weapons. We're asking you to let us use them to protect you. Is there truly a difference? Taman asked. The question hung in the air. It was a debate they had been having for months. The Valorians struggled with the moral implications of their situation, while the humans struggled to understand a species that would rather die than fight. Artist Yuna, a young Valoran who had become fascinated by human culture, spoke up. I have been studying human military history. Humans fight most fiercely when defending their homes and families. But you also fight to protect strangers. Why? Sergeant Kyung, a human soldier, answered. Because someone has to. Because if good people don't stop bad people win, it's that simple. But violence creates more violence, Taman argued. By fighting the Scarians, do we not perpetuate the cycle of conflict? No, Captain Huan said firmly. There's a difference between starting a fight and finishing one. The Scarians started this when they decided to invade your world. We're going to finish it. Elder Kira raised her hand for silence. These are important questions, but we have already made our choice. The Scarians will not be deterred by our peaceful intentions. They see our refusal to fight as weakness to be exploited. She turned to General Sunwoo. What do you need from us? Information mainly, Sunwoo replied. We need to know everything about your defensive capabilities, your evacuation procedures, and your most critical facilities. Also, we need some of your people to work directly with our technical teams. That can be arranged, Kira said. Dr. Bach, I want you to work with the human medical staff. Your healing technology could save many lives during the coming battle. Dr. Bach nodded reluctantly. I will help, but I want it understood that my devices are meant to heal, not to enable further violence. Understood, Sunwoo assured him. Engineer. Minho raised his hand. I've been working with Valoran energy systems. With some modifications, we could boost our ship shields by 30%. But I need to understand the underlying principles better. Scholar Day brightened. I can help with that. Our energy technology is based on harmonic resonance rather than brute force. very different from human approaches. As the meeting continued, Sun Wu watched the interplay between the two species with interest. The Valorians were genuinely trying to help, despite their philosophical objections to violence. The humans were learning to work within Valoran moral constraints while still maintaining military effectiveness. Later, as the meeting broke up, Sun Wu found himself walking with Elder Kira through the station's garden sections. "You have doubts," she observed. "Many," Sun Wu admitted. "In every war I've fought, success depended on the population being willing to make sacrifices, to endure hardship, to support the war effort. Your people won't do any of that." "No," Kira agreed. "We cannot. But, General, you are thinking of this wrong. You are not fighting a war. You are preventing one." "I don't understand the difference." Kira stopped beside a fountain where small silver fish swam in perfect harmony. "War is when two sides fight for victory. What you are doing is stopping an aggressor from harming innocents. The Scarians want to fight a war. We want to prevent a massacre. There is a profound difference." Sun Wu considered this. "And if we fail? If the Scarians break through our defenses? Then we will face whatever comes with dignity," Kira replied. "But, General, I have studied your species just as Scholar Day has. Humans do not fail when protecting others. It is not in your nature." That evening, Sun Wu stood in the observation lounge of the Defender, reviewing battle plans. Lieutenant Yeren approached with a data pad. "Sir, we've received the final intelligence reports. The Scarian fleet will arrive in 72 hours. Fleet size? 47 ships, including 3 heavy battlecruisers. Estimated crew of 30,000. Sun Wu nodded grimly. The humans had 12 ships and 3,000 crew members. On paper, it was hopeless. But numbers didn't tell the whole story. Status of our preparations? All defensive platforms are online. The fleet is positioned and ready. Dr. Bach's medical stations are prepared for casualties. Engineer Minho has finished the shield modifications. And our Valoran allies? They're continuing their normal activities, sir. Elder Kira said they trust us to handle the situation." Sun Wu almost smiled. "Most species would be in a panic." "The Valorians were probably composing poetry and tending their gardens." "Sir?" Yeren asked. "Do you really think we can win?" Sun Wu looked out at Valoran Prime, its cities glowing softly in the darkness. Somewhere down there, children were sleeping peacefully, protected by parents who had never known war. Artists were creating beauty. Scientists were unlocking the secrets of healing and creation. It was a civilization worth protecting. "Lieutenant," he said quietly, "the Scarians are about to learn something about humans that most of the galaxy doesn't understand. We're not just soldiers. We're guardians, and guardians don't lose." Admiral Yeren stood on the bridge of the Defender, watching the tactical display with calm focus. The Scarian fleet had just dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the system, exactly where intelligence had predicted. 47 ships arranged. In a perfect attack formation, their dark hulls bristling with weapons. "Contact from the Scarian flagship," reported Communications Officer Park. "Put it through." The main screen flickered to life, showing Warlord Vexus in all his intimidating glory. His red eyes burned with anticipation as he surveyed the human bridge. "I am Warlord Vexus of the Scarian Empire," he announced. "You will surrender immediately and withdraw from this system. You have no authority here. I am Admiral Yeren of the Human Defense Force," she replied calmly. "This system is under our protection. You will turn around and leave immediately." Vexus laughed, a harsh sound like metal grinding. You have 12 ships against my 47. Your death wish is noted and will be granted. We have something you don't understand, Yaren said quietly. We have something worth protecting. The communication cut off. Around the bridge, human crew members went about their duties with practiced efficiency. No panic, no fear, just professionals, doing what they had trained for. All ships report ready, said Lieutenant Commander June from his position at the tactical station. Very good. Signal General Sunwoo. Operation Guardian is now active. Across the fleet, human ships powered up there, weapons and shields. The modifications using Valoran energy technology had given them capabilities far beyond their original specifications. They would need every advantage. Scarian fleet is advancing, reported the sensor operator. Standard attack formation. They're not even trying to be clever about it. Yaren nodded. The Scarians were used to overwhelming weaker opponents through sheer force. They had never faced humans defending something precious. Wait for them to reach the first marker, she ordered. On Valoran Prime below, life continued as normal. In the capital city, artist Yuna stood in her studio, working on a sculpture that captured the grace of human ships in flight. She had watched the human vessels during their training exercises, marveling at how they moved like living things, responsive and fluid. A soft chime indicated an incoming message. Elder Kira's voice filled the studio. My dear, the battle has begun. Are you safe? I am well, Elder Kira, Yuna replied, not stopping her work. I trust our guardians. As do I. Continue your work. When this is over, the galaxy will want to understand what humans fought to protect. In space, the Scarian fleet had reached the first defensive line. What they thought were research stations suddenly revealed themselves as heavily armed platforms. Energy beams lanced out, striking the Scarian ships with devastating accuracy. Multiple enemy ships taking damage, reported Lieutenant Commander June. But they're pushing through. These platforms won't stop them. They're not meant to, Yaren replied. They're meant to make them angry. The Scarian response was immediate and overwhelming. They poured fire into the defensive platforms, reducing them to debris within minutes. But the platforms had served their purpose. They had forced the Scarians to bunch up their formation and reveal their capabilities. All ships execute pattern. 7! Yaren commanded. The human fleet erupted from concealment behind the outer moon like a pack of hunting wolves. They didn't move in the rigid formations favored by most military forces. Instead, each ship moved independently, using the enhanced shields and maneuverability provided by Valoran technology. Captain Juan commanded the assault ship Protector, diving straight into the heart of the Scarian formation. His ship twisted and rolled through a storm of enemy fire, its shields flaring with each hit but holding strong. Target their command ship, he ordered his weapons officer. Make them know we're here. The Protector's guns opened fire, sending streams of superheated plasma directly at the Iron Fang. The shots struck home, causing visible damage to the massive Scarian vessel. On the Iron Fang's bridge, Warlord Vexus staggered as his ship shook from the impact. Impossible! He roared. How can such small ships penetrate our armor? Their weapons have been enhanced somehow, reported his tactical officer. They're using technology we don't recognize. Then destroy them. All ships. Focus fire on the human vessels. But the human ships refused to cooperate with Scarian tactics. They didn't stand and fight like traditional warships. They flowed around the Scarian formation like water, striking weak points and then disappearing before return fire could find them. Tech specialist Nari, aboard the support ship Healer, was coordinating the battle from her position in the engineering section. She had spent weeks studying Velaran energy systems, learning to think in harmonics rather than brute force. Diverting power to forward shields, she called out. Modulating frequency to match enemy weapons signature. The healer's shields began to actively absorb and redirect Scarian weapons fire, turning their own energy against them. It was a technique no other species had mastered, requiring the intuitive understanding of complex systems that humans excelled. Meanwhile, Dr. Bach worked frantically in the medical bay of Station Harmony. His healing devices were saving human lives as fast as the wounded arrived. Each soldier who returned to battle carried with them the knowledge that they fought not just for victory, but for a people who would heal their enemies as readily as their friends. "How many casualties?" Elder Kira asked as she visited the medical bay. 17 wounded, none dead, Dr. Bach replied. Your humans fight with a precision that minimizes their own losses while maximizing damage to their enemies. They are protecting something precious, Kira observed. That changes everything about how one fights. In space, the battle was reaching its climax. The Scarian fleet, designed to overwhelm through superior numbers, found itself being picked apart by an enemy that refused to fight conventionally. Human ships worked in perfect coordination, each one covering the others, each one moving with deadly purpose. Warlord Vexus watched his tactical display with growing horror. He had lost 12 ships and hadn't managed to destroy a single human vessel. His remaining ships were scattered and demoralized. "Sir," his communications officer called out, "we're receiving surrender offers from the human fleet." "Surrender offers?" Vexus was confused. "They want to surrender?" "No, sir. They're offering to accept our surrender." For a moment, Vexus couldn't process the words. He commanded a fleet that still outnumbered the enemy. His ships were individually more powerful. By all military logic, he should be winning, but logic didn't account for the human factor. It didn't account for warriors who fought not for conquest, but for protection. It didn't account for the fury of guardians defending their charges. "Sir," his tactical officer said quietly, "we've lost 18 ships. Our formation is broken. If we continue, we'll lose everything." Vexus looked at the tactical display one more time. The human ships moved like living things, flowing around his scattered forces, striking with precision and purpose. They weren't fighting to destroy an enemy. They were fighting to protect a home. "Signal the human flagship," he said finally. We will withdraw." Admiral Yaren received the message with satisfaction, but no surprise. "Acknowledged, Warlord Vexus. You have 1 hour to collect your survivors and leave this system. If you return, we will be ready." As the battered Scarian fleet limped away, the human ships regrouped around Valoran Prime. On the planet below, the cities continued to glow with their soft light, their inhabitants safe and unaware of how close they had come to destruction. "All ships report minimal damage," Lieutenant Commander June announced. "No fatalities." "Well done, everyone," Yaren said. "Send a message to Elder Kira. Tell her Valoran Prime remains under our protection." In her studio, artist Yuna put the finishing touches on her sculpture. The piece captured something she had seen in the battle footage. Human ships moving not with the rigid discipline of conquerors, but with the fluid grace of protectors. They fought like parents defending children, like guardians defending something infinitely precious. The galaxy would soon learn what the Scarians had discovered, that the most dangerous warriors were not those who fought for victory, but those who fought for love. Ambassador Hine stepped into the grand chamber of the Galactic Council, her expression calm but determined. 6 months had passed since the Battle of Valoran Prime, and word of the Scarian defeat had spread throughout the galaxy. Today, she would address the assembled representatives of 47 different species. The chamber fell silent as she approached the speaking platform. Many of the delegates had never seen a human before. Others had dismissed humanity as a primitive species, unworthy of attention. All of them were here because they wanted to understand how 12 human ships had defeated a Scarian battle fleet. "Honored delegates," Hyen began, her voice carrying clearly through the vast space. "I stand before you as the representative of the Human Valoran Alliance. We come not as conquerors, but as partners in a new vision for galactic peace." Counselor Drex of the Hegemony leaned forward in his seat. "Ambassador, the galaxy wants to know, what makes humans think they can police interstellar space?" "We do not police space," Hyan replied. "We protect those who cannot protect themselves. There is a significant difference. But you defeated the Scarians," pressed Representative Yala of the Trade Federation. "Your 12 ships scattered their entire fleet. How is this possible?" Hine smiled slightly. "Because we fought for something beyond ourselves. The Scarians fought for conquest. We fought for protection. When Guardians fight, they do not lose." In the observation gallery, Elder, Kira watched the proceedings with quiet satisfaction. Beside her sat Captain June, one of the heroes of the battle, now serving as a permanent liaison between the two species. "Your ambassador speaks well," Kira observed. "She has to," June replied. "Half the galaxy wants to hire us, and the other half wants to destroy us before we become too powerful." It was true. In the months since the battle, dozens of species had approached the Alliance. Some sought protection from aggressive neighbors. Others wanted access to Valoran technology. A few openly asked if humans would serve as their military force. But there had also been threats. Several militaristic species saw humanity's new role as a challenge to their own power. The Croston Empire had publicly declared that humans were becoming too dangerous. The Vorthan Collective had begun building new warships specifically designed to counter human tactics. On Valoran Prime, life had changed in subtle but significant ways. The planet remained peaceful, its cities still beautiful and open. But now, human personnel moved through those cities, working alongside Valoran scientists and engineers. The cultural exchange was transforming both species. Young Valoran Scion stood in the medical research facility, watching Dr. Bach work with a human doctor named Park to develop new healing technologies. The combination of Valoran bioscience and human adaptability was producing miracles. "Will the healing chambers work on humans?" Scion asked. "Better than on Valorians," Dr. Bach replied. "Human physiology is remarkably adaptive. Your bodies respond to our healing technology faster than any species we have studied." Dr. Park nodded. "And your technology is helping us understand healing in completely new ways. Back on Earth, our medical systems are crude compared to this." Scion was fascinated by the humans. They were so different from Valorians, yet they fit into Valoran society surprisingly well. They asked questions that Valorians would never think to ask. They saw solutions that pure logic would miss. They brought a practical wisdom that complemented Valoran theoretical knowledge. In another part of the planet, Engineer Minho stood with a group of Valoran technicians studying the readings from their latest energy experiment. By combining human engineering principles with Valoran harmonic technology, they had created power systems that were both more efficient and more elegant than either species could achieve alone. "The resonance is perfect," observed Technician Yura. "How did you know to adjust the frequency pattern?" Minho shrugged. "Instinct, I guess. Human engineers learn to feel how systems want to work. Your technology sings when it's working right. We just learned to listen." Back in the Galactic Council chamber, the questions were becoming more pointed. "What prevents humans from becoming conquerors themselves?" demanded General Thrak of the Krostan Empire. "You have advanced technology now. You have proven your military capabilities. What stops you from building an empire?" Ambassador Hyaene looked directly at the Krostan general. "Because empires are built on the desire to rule others. Humans have no such desire. We fight to protect, not to dominate." "Words," Thrak scoffed. "Any species can claim noble intentions." "Then let me offer proof," Hine replied. "The Valyran Republic requests our protection from your recent territorial expansion. The gentlefolk of Serenity Station ask for our help against pirate raids. The Peaceful Collective seeks our assistance in defending their trade routes. In each case, we will provide protection without claiming territory, without demanding tribute, without seeking control." The chamber erupted in murmurs. 3 different species publicly requesting human protection was unprecedented. Counselor Drek stood. "And if we refuse to recognize your authority in these matters?" "You may refuse to recognize anything you wish," Hyaene said calmly. "But if you attack those under our protection, you will face the consequences. We do not ask permission to defend the innocent." The threat was clear, but not aggressive. Humans would not seek conflict, but they would not avoid it either if innocent lives were at stake. After the session ended, Elder Kira and Captain June walked through the council complex's garden areas. "How do you think it went?" Kira asked. "Better than expected," June replied. "Some of them are genuinely interested in the alliance model. Others are scared of what we represent. A few are already planning how to challenge us." "And how do you feel about that?" June considered the question. "Honestly, it doesn't matter how they feel. We're not doing this for their approval. We're doing it because it's right." Kira smiled. This was so perfectly human. The willingness to do what was right regardless of cost or consequence. On Valoran Prime, the transformation continued. Human. Families had begun settling permanently on the planet, their children growing up in a society that valued peace above all else. Valoran young people traveled to human worlds, learning about courage and determination. Artist Yuna had completed her sculpture series, works that captured the essence of the human-Valoran partnership. Her latest piece showed human and Valoran hands working together to shape light itself, creating something beautiful and lasting. "It represents our future," she explained to a group of visitors. "Humans bring strength and determination. Valorians bring wisdom and creativity. Together, we create something neither could achieve alone." The visitors were journalists from across the galaxy, documenting the alliance for their homeworlds. Many had come expecting to find humans ruling over their Valoran subjects. Instead, they found true partnership. Captain June had chosen to make Valoran Prime his permanent home. He commanded the Human Defense Force from a headquarters built into a living mountain, its walls grown from crystalline trees that provided both beauty and function. "Do you miss Earth?" Elder Kira asked during one of their regular walks. "Sometimes," June admitted. "But Earth doesn't need me. The people here do. And honestly, I've learned more about being human from living among Valorians than I ever did among my own species. How so? Valorians see the best in everyone. You assume goodness until proven otherwise. It makes humans want to live up to that faith. You make us better than we thought we could be. As the months passed, the alliance model spread. The gentlefolk signed a protection agreement with humanity. The peaceful collective welcomed human guard ships into their space. 3 other pacifist species requested similar arrangements. Not everyone was pleased. The Kroston Empire began making threats. The Vorthon collective started building their anti-human fleet. But for every species that saw humans as a threat, 2 others saw them as a hope for something better. In her final report to the Galactic Council, Ambassador Hine summarized the new reality. The galaxy has a choice. We can continue the old pattern of conquest and domination where the strong prey upon the weak, or we can embrace a new model where strength serves protection and wisdom guides power. The Human-Valoran Alliance offers partnership, not dominion. We offer protection, not conquest. We offer hope that civilization can be more than a struggle between predators and prey. Choose wisely. The future of the galaxy may depend on it. As the council session ended and delegates returned to their home worlds, the message was clear. Humanity had found its place in the galaxy not as conquerors or subjects, but as guardians. They had proven that the most dangerous species could also be the most protective. And throughout the galaxy, those who valued peace over power began to hope that perhaps finally they had found protectors who would never become oppressors. The Age of Guardians had begun.